Larry.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Thank you for meeting me.
My pleasure, really. I love talking about Woodstock when I can.
Oh, awesome. Well, could you please introduce yourself to folks, and would you mind sharing your story on Hippie Stories on my YouTube channel?
Sure.
Great.
My name's Steve White. I'm a local. Couple of stories I have in there. First, getting there, I remember, even though it was advertised like crazy, it wasn't until that Thursday I drove this woman to the motel in Liberty. She was from California and told me asked me if I was going. And at that time I really didn't have plans to go, but she said if I go to see this group who was very hot in California, Santana, who was not known here at all.
Wow.
And I said, okay. So driving back, I went over one of the overpasses and saw the cars lined up on 17 forever, as far as the eye could see.
Wow.
So when I got back to Hertz Rent-A-Car, which is where I was working, I quit and went with a friend of mine to the site. And when I first got there, I was with someone who freaked out by the size of the amount of people that were there. So even though we had parked like 4 miles away and walked, I had to drive her home, which I did, and came back. And on the way back, because I had local plates, the police let me get much closer, and I was there from Thursday to Monday.
Wow.
And had the time of my life.
Unbelievable. So where was the Hertz place that you worked located?
At that time, it was right on the corner of Kaimisha Road, right as you were going to the Concord.
Yeah.
Right across the street. I don't even know what it is now.
Okay, somewhere there.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, and that's where the Hertz.
So you quit your job, and
Right,
then
then
from
and
there
there.
you did what? You drove where first?
I went home.
Oh, you went home.
I
And
went
where
ho-
was home?
Home was in Kaimisha.
Okay, not too far from
And
there.
my folks, not understanding where I was really going, what the ramifications were, said, sure, you can borrow the car. And so I did.
Wow.
And it really, and I'll tell you, musically, locally, you might know that the person I met up at the site was Larry Steiger, who owned Last Licks.
Oh, I know Larry. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Larry and I spent the whole time together, and we were
Wow.
fortunate. And I'll say this because I don't care. We were working for this guy who had food. Now, food was a precious commodity there, so we were able to trade food for all the drugs we wanted the whole time
And it was
we were
just
there.
pot, basically.
Oh yes, just
Nothing,
pot.
It wasn't like, crazy.
Psychedelics
Yeah.
too.
Oh, okay.
It was. Listen, you got to understand the
I know
time
that
I
was
was
there.
in, and
It was there. It was an option.
Fortunately, we weren't. We paid attention to when the announcement came on and said, "Be careful the brown acid."
I heard about that.
So we didn't do that, but we really had an amazing time.
Well, so let's reel it back. So you got
Go ahead.
there Thursday. What
Yep.
time of day did you get there?
Oh boy, that's a. Well, then
You don't have
like
to be-
mid-afternoon, I think, and then I had to go back and come back, so
Right.
like early evening.
So when you got there at mid-afternoon the first time, what was the scene there? Like, was music playing at that point or no? It was just...
No, what had happened, you saw all the fencing had been torn down by then. So, we had tickets. It wasn't like we were trying to, get in for nothing. But you could see what was going to happen. And we sat down on the lawn, the woman I was with. Within 5 minutes, she goes, I got to get out of here. So I had to take her back.
Yeah. And where was she located?
In Monticello.
Okay, so you had so how long did it take you to go from the site to Monticello and come back?
That took a while because
you
there
had a
was
lot of
so
cars
much
in there.
traffic around, and everyone was parked haphazardly, so you had to weave in and out. But I don't remember how much time, but I just was not happy about having to leave and come back.
Of course
I know
not.
that.
So when you came back, you had packed your car with food. Is that right? Oh, because you said about the food. Oh.
This is what happened.
Okay.
Larry was friendly with a guy who had a food stand there. He set it up on, cement blocks, and he had hamburgers and all that. Wow. So he was able to do it. We worked for him basically to eat, and
nice.
And also to being near the fire, we were able to escape the cold and the wet.
Yeah.
Which was also a blessing.
Where was that food truck situated? If you're standing on where the stage area was, looking up at the bowl, where would it be? Right.
There's a road that cuts across that bowl to the other side. Okay, we were right around there. Okay, and it wasn't a food truck.
Oh no.
Oh, he had it on blocks, and we had straw, and we were able to stay covered.
Wow.
And I forget
amazing.
even who the guy was. Larry knew. I don't know.
So if you're where the stage is and you're facing up, would it be on the left or the right?
That's a good. It was almost dead center, maybe a little to the left.
Up,
all the way up and
all the way up. So where the mudslide, you were like could see the mudslides
are everywhere.
All right, so that's Thursday. So you got back Thursday evening. Then what? What was it like? Like, where did you sit, hang out? You were at the food area there.
I never saw. We were. Okay. I never saw so many people. It was very heartening to know that there were a lot of people that had this curiosity and felt the way I did.
I bet it was.
Looking back on it, being there, I said, unbelievable. In the lineup of performers, there's never been anything like it. And Richie Havens came on.
So heard Richie Havens when he first came.
Yeah. Him, and I think the acts that really stood out for me, Santana for sure. God, that woman was right. I mean, they blew the place apart. They were incredible.
You weren't the first. You were not the only person to say that. In a couple of the other interviews, they highlighted Santana as the favorite.
Unbelievable. But the other ones I remember are listening to Grace Slick and the Jefferson Airplane. Yeah. For me, still embedded in my mind.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, she was one of the top 5 female vocals I've ever heard in my life, and
that's awesome.
She was incredible.
Wow.
And Sly and the Family Stone, by the way, had the whole place lighting a match, and they had the whole place jumping.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. 10 years after, I never saw anybody play guitar like that. But
so it rained. It didn't rain until Saturday or something.
I don't remember exactly that.
It rained later. So Thursday was dry.
I think Thursday was dry, and then the weather was horrible. And
were you covered in mud?
Yeah, everybody was. I mean, I don't know how you could avoid that. I mean, unless you just sat in your tent.
Where did you sleep?
Right near that fire of the grill. Oh. We had straw, and we pitched a little covering. Yeah. We didn't sleep too much. Yeah. You want to know the truth.
It's amazing that you remember, because some people say, I don't remember anything.
No, I remember. There's certain things I remember. We didn't sleep much, though. We really didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, it was difficult to, to sleep, but you got a little shut-eye once in a while.
Did you hear Max Yasgur?
No, I don't remember. Only on the record of the movie, And here I'm the local guy. I knew who he was, but I never heard.
Did you know him personally?
No.
Oh.
No, I didn't. But I never heard him.
Did you run into the people, on the Wavy Gravy folks?
I don't know them, but I heard them all the time, constantly. And God bless them, because they really provided a service for people who were in a little bit of trouble there, with drug or whatever it was. They really were great. And even years later, they were remembered for doing, kind acts, which is nice.
What about communications? There were no cell phones there, and I remember seeing there was a post where people would put notes up. Do you remember seeing anything like that?
I remember seeing it. I didn't communicate with anybody. Okay, I'm telling you that right now. We were, my folks, we never came home from that Thursday taking the car, and my mother, because there was a food crisis there, was making sandwiches at the Rutherford School in town
Really?
to be helicoptered in so kids
Oh
had
my
something
gosh.
to eat.
That's incredible.
Yeah, yeah,
That's incredible.
yeah. And my uncle
Mention
too.
My mother.
And your mother was also, well, she was doing sandwiches and nursing.
Thorazine for
Yeah,
trippers.
for bad trippers.
So,
right?
so Steve's wife, Susie is here, and she didn't want to be on camera, but she is bringing up a note about her mother.
Her mother was a
she-
nurse.
That's
and
amazing.
yeah. And she also pitched in as the whole community, well, not the whole community,
Yeah.
but many in our community did.
Yeah,
So it wasn't a disaster,
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
and it potentially could have been.
yeah,
So
that's amazing.
yeah,
So let's see what else did. So what were some of other? Just it doesn't matter. Like anything that you can think of that. Oh, Susie
I
has
will.
another idea.
Shanana.
no, I'll tell you this story.
Okay, go ahead.
You know, Larry and I, by Monday morning,
Yeah.
we were exhausted. I mean, we were staying to hear Hendrix. We
Oh,
had to,
okay.
and by that time, instead of 500,000 people, there was like 50,000 people.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now I think Paul Butterfield had who was beyond belief great, by the way.
Wow.
And I know he doesn't get much credit, his band, but man, were they great.
Wow.
So now we're going, Larry and I said, come on, we'll listen to Hendrix, then we'll go, because we couldn't even keep our eyes open.
Yeah.
And the announcer, who was it, Chipmunk or whoever the announcer was, comes out and says, folks, we have a special guest coming on before Hendrix, Sha-Na-Na.
Oh.
To this day, okay, if you've ever seen Clockwork Orange and they play Beethoven and the guy has a violent reaction to it,
Oh.
because that's how he was tortured in the movie, you know, was
Okay.
listening to, that's when I hear Sha-Na-Na, I have a violent reaction. And I hate to say that, but Larry and I, we only heard him on the way out, Hendrix. We couldn't even keep our eyes open.
Ah.
And, okay. And when I got home, my mom and dad, my dad in particular, stopped me on the porch, took a hose, and hosed me down.
I was gonna ask you, did you dip in the water?
No, I
Okay,
didn't.
so you never got.
I never got clean,
so-
and he looked at me and he just goes like, he hosed me down. So
I wonder what you look like. You didn't
oh,
take a
I'm
picture?
covered. No, I didn't. It had to be covered from head to
And
toe.
did you only have one change of clothes for the whole time?
Yeah, that was it. Whatever I went there, who
I
knew
was
what
just
it was going
curious.
to be?
I'm
No,
just
you're
asking.
right. I didn't know what it was going to be
Okay.
like.
Okay.
And
Did you bring a toothbrush?
no,
Okay.
no,
Just curious.
no,
I'm
none,
just curious.
none of the
Probably
hygiene
nobody
that
did.
you right.
I mean, I'm imagining no one thought about those things.
I did.
So, do you mind if
certainly
I ask how old you were at that time?
17.
Ah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
What about Michael Lang? Did you happen to run into him?
Never,
Okay.
never ran into him or any of those guys. But you know, they had, and though it's been people have tried to copy it.
Yeah.
You know, that experience, it's never
It's
been
not possible. Right.
duplicated.
It's just not possible.
It's not. And
Did you run into any local yokels like yourself?
I did.
Yeah? Who'd you
I
run
actually did. I remember seeing, oh God, what's it, Jimmy and Billy Cohn, Jimmy.
into? Are these classmates?
They were a little bit older than
Ah.
me.
Yeah.
You know, there were a few.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Looking over and seeing someone.
I
you
saw them
recognize.
walking on the road. I mean, you know, hey, what's happening kind of thing.
So the feeling, though, like earlier you described on Thursday when you first got there and you're looking around at all the people coming, what kind of feeling did you get?
I'll tell you exactly. I knew it was going to be special when we were walking in. And you got to remember the time also that if you were smoking pot in your car, you kept looking in your rearview mirror in case the police would pull you over. Because at that time, the penalty was pretty severe. When I was walking in and people were smoking pot and the state police were just walking around letting you do it, I said, this is going to be great.
There's a shift here. There's a change.
And I'll mention one other thing. The feeling was unlike I've ever had before or since. I've always thought, I said, wow, my generation really can make a difference, going forward. And I think that's been the biggest failing of my generation. We really haven't made a difference, and I was hopeful.
Did you factor in like the whole Vietnam War going on? Was that a factor?
No question about it. Absolutely. I had marched in Washington against the war. And that's what I mean about maybe hopefully, my group of people, my generation could do something.
I think it showed that there was a oneness in opinion about that. And whether or not anyone could move that, it happened, and it left an indelible mark in Bethel. Because how do you feel today? Like, do you still feel that sort of resonance of that today?
I'm proud to say I was at Woodstock. I think Bethel Woods, doing is really beautiful for what they did.
They did a beautiful job preserving the site.
Yeah, they did. And when I see the museum, I went once. I don't go back because I'm part of the museum.
Yeah.
In a way, if you know what I mean.
I went once also, and I don't desire to go back either. But I was born in '66, so but I saw it. But to me, it's like I'm glad what they're doing there, and it's wonderful, and it's just lush, beautiful grounds, and keeping it wonderful and preserved for people to experience, sit there and feel that spiritual sacredness.
And it was spiritual. It really was.
The best, right?
Yes.
I mean, but you don't have to go into the museum all the time, even though that's also really cool. I urge everyone to go at least once, and if not more, go for it. But going on the field to me is like standing on where the stage area is and just looking up is just like I get very.
Oh, listen! They asked me. Bethel Woods put together this alternative, what's it called, reality presentation. So I was asked to be part of that committee.
Nice.
Now was by far, I think I was the only person who went, and I was an older person in this group. But I remember in the finished project when we walked out, I walked out with their headphones and whatever, and boom, wherever you were standing, you heard the music from the concert, and it was really good. If anyone wants to go and experience what that was like, that alternative reality they put together is
augmented
reality.
They have it now.
Augmented
That's
reality.
amazing. I've never heard of that. I would like to try that.
It's really, they captured it. I thought they did a great
beautiful.
job.
What a lovely experience.
Yeah. They did a great job.
Cool. So just mulling around, like any other thoughts or things that you hanging out there Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. Rains are coming and going. You're getting muddy. You're eating. You're helping people stay well by feeding them. What else?
I'll tell you a funny story because a good friend of Larry's and mine, he was involved with a dairy up here, and he brought this truck in from the dairy and had ices in the back, and he was going to sell. A lot of people, were entrepreneurs, and so he was also, he got so high though they fell asleep in there, and all the ices were stolen out of his truck.
Oh my goodness.
And
are you talking about like Italian ices? Like
that kind of thing, yeah.
Oh.
The whole thing.
That's
and,
pretty funny.
Yeah, I thought so.
Score!
Right. It was typical.
Peace,
it was typical.
Peace, love, and ices.
Very funny.
Yes.
But the music was unbelievable. I think a lot of Crosby, Stills, Nash.
Yeah.
And we had just seen them at the Fillmore, and they were unbelievable.
Wow. And they introduced Neil Young at the end, right?
I think so. I just remember them.
Yeah.
And they were just.
How was Janice? Did you?
I don't even remember her. Honestly, I don't remember her. But Crosby, Stills, and Nash, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, I think were there, and I remember them there. and the brass was off a little bit. And when that's off with a group like that, it's tough. But
Canned Heat.
no, I don't remember. But even though
Big Country Joe and the Fish.
yes, I do. Now he's lived off of that song for a gazillion years. You know, give me an F.
Yeah.
But good for him. I mean, he was.
I'm trying to. I should have a list of all the performers.
I'm
I
trying to
can't remember.
think myself.
But anyway, it's nice to hear you just just casually tell me.
Thank you.
I love it. Thank you. I'm really.
I love.
This is so fun.
I'm glad because I feel. What's the right word? I mean, that I was there will
Like you're
be.
honored.
I am.
Honored, yeah.
It was a privilege
It
to
is
be
an
there.
honor.
Looking back, I mean,
Yeah.
it was great. One of the highlights of my
Yeah.
life. I really loved
I
it.
think that most people feel that way.
Yeah.
Like they're honored to be there,
Yeah,
be a part of that.
yeah, I do feel that.
So it was billed originally as a Woodstock, as a craft and arts and music fair. And when you got there, I mean, were there no one ever really talks about this, but I'm curious, were there any like booths of crafts and things like that?
I have no
Because
clue.
most fairs have like arts and crafts. And
I never saw that.
okay, I was
ever,
just curious.
ever.
And you said when you heard about it, what was your mode of hearing about it? Radio or poster?
You know, there was posters around all the time, and I just didn't pay.
Yeah.
You know, it's all right. It's a concert coming,
Yeah.
even though the list of acts was still beyond belief.
Yeah.
I still,
And you
until
bought
it was,
tickets.
we did buy. I was going to go,
Okay.
even though it was right. It happened. It came to us right away when it happened. I go, whoa, it's here. And then I saw that line of cars. I said, oh my God.
So how does someone buy a ticket back then?
That's a good question. I don't even remember how we did that.
Probably called on the phone and used I don't know.
Or they might have had an
a
outlet
kiosk
here.
somewhere.
Someone, or they gave it to
Yeah.
that, and we bought them.
Do you still have the tickets?
We actually gave them away.
Uh,
Someone was collecting them, and we gave it to them. But I do
Cool.
have the original T-shirt from Time Warner. Susie.
Do you want to come and say hi?
I know.
Susie put it in a frame for me. When the movie came out, that T-shirt came out with the guitar, the dove and stuff. I still have it.
You bought it from the place?
It was given to me by someone that works for Time Warner, who made the movie,
Nice. Oh,
and
nice.
I still got it.
Oh,
That's
how
all.
fun.
Yeah.
So what about girls? Any girls? I mean, just, any girl stories?
Oh man. Well, something there.
Isn't that a different topic?
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Oh, you mean at Woodstock?
That's what I mean.
I mean,
Woodstock girl
no,
stories.
not really. Not
Yeah.
really. We
Were there kids around too? Did you see
there
kids?
were some, but
Some,
not a
not a
lot.
lot.
I didn't see a lot.
Yeah.
And the women were all, it was a free
was peace
lovey.
and love
Yeah,
and
it was
just-
free lovey era. So
Yeah.
it was great to look.
Yeah.
Really?
But it was just very natural. Nothing.
No.
No, it was just all natural.
Yes, and
just
comfortable.
Sincerely,
Sim-
innocent in a way, a lot of ways.
I thought so.
Yeah.
It really, nothing shocking.
Yeah.
Everyone was okay
Yeah.
with it.
That's so great.
Yeah. I mean, it's unusual. It's rare.
Yeah.
So.
Well, hey, I had the best time talking to you.
Thank you,
anytime
Debbie.
you want to, if you think of more and you say, hey, I have, even if it's just one story, we can do a short video, like follow up or something. Make a list if you want, and we'll come back again.
Thanks, Deb. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
So grateful. Mwah. Steve White, thank you so much. All righty.
All right.
Peace out.
Peace and love.